Hey, welcome back to Evil's Comics. I'm Evil Mike, and I got a review for you today. From Image Comics, we're going to be talking about Stoneheart, issue number 1. As far as I can tell, the whole book is done by Emma Kubert, and I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. No disrespect. But before we get started, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell if you like my reviews. All that is free, doesn't cost you anything. I swear, I promise. There's no membership, not yet on this channel. Maybe never will. Who knows? But as of now, it's free, guys. It's free. Okay, so I'm gonna do the review, and then I'll give my final thoughts afterwards because I do have quite a bit on this one. So we are jumping into the world of Athea, and right on the back page of the cover, you get this fabulous map of Athea, and it tells you right here, and it even gives you a legend of cities and guilds and all this kind of stuff. I always love a good detailed map, especially on the world building. But then we are presented with the beginning of the story, and it's pretty much black and white for the first, I want to say 5 pages. Yes, there is color, but this is kind of I want to say it feels like a flashback. When you're reading it, it does not until you get to the end. But let's just say it is kind of a flashback, and that's the reason they're using this black and white motif. But basically, we're at the it's the Paladins of the Northeastern Kingdom in Athea, and it's the Council of Might shown here at the bottom, and they have been summoned because somebody close to them has betrayed the council and broken a whole bunch of laws. So they're about to they're trying to decide what to do with them. You get detailed stuff about each person or at least the major people. This person is Brave Redbreaker, and he's age 20, and then over here we get Brave Wildling, who's age 42, and then I think the person in charge is 62 or something like that, 61. Chieftain Ophidian. But basically that's what the beginning of this book is that this council is deciding what to do. Someone to kill this person, someone to exile. Some even have more twisted plans past that. Eventually the chieftain does exile this prisoner, we do find out. There's enough bickering back and forth between the council, and eventually it's just the chieftain. She stands up and she's like, nah, this person will be banished. We do find out it is kind of our main character as far as the book shows us right now, but it's Stoneheart. In the book, she is known by, and I know I'm going to mispronounce this, even though the book tries to get you to pronounce it, but it's Shade Whisper or Shade Whisper. It's spelled Shayde and then Whisper. But a lot of times you see it, right here, where is it? Yeah, right there, it says it right there, Shady Whisper. It's always prolonged out because it's someone screaming at her or whispering or something like that. But we do have the situation where they bring her forth in front of the council. They do tell her that she's going to be exiled. They do kind of mention some of the things that was the reason she's being exiled, and one of the reasons is she can't be controlled. And while this is going on, she does break free of her chain. She has this flashback of her mom and stuff like that, and that's kind of what enrages her. Her eyes go bloodshot red. She's able to break the chains. We find out that they use this kind of elixir. It's a sedative to calm her down, and eventually they basically sedate her and send her out of the city. Before we get out of the black and white and the I guess the flashback ends or whatever, we get this panel right here with this guy with glasses, and he's standing behind, looks like Stoneheart or Shade, and it looks like he's slapping her awake, and then all of a sudden we get this panel right in here, and it's basically present day. It is the same character, it's Shade Whisper, but at this point in the story is set up where it's none of this stuff happened before. She doesn't remember any of it. It's as far as she knows, she's coming from this small town from up north, and she's heading to Light Spring Canyon to be an apprentice blacksmith. So it's almost like when they exiled her, either they wiped her memories, put some spell on her, or something like that. But as far as the book is concerned, it's almost like she's a brand new character in the book. But we see later on that there is evidence that that is the same person. But as far as everything it sets up, she's just a new person entering a new city, and she doesn't really like it because it's a lot more busy than the city. I mean, you can see right here with this cool spread that it is a massive and busy town. But she does make it there, and she pretty much meets, like, just runs into, like, one obnoxious person after another, and she just deems the city bad. She ends up running into this guy who's somebody to note that he kind of comes into play later. And he's kind of like one of the I want to say least obnoxious people she runs into, but eventually she does make it to where she's going because she's had a map and she's got directions. But she is looking for a blacksmith, which is this guy right here. She ends up like knocking into this old man that was leaving the blacksmith's hut, and coming to find out this is where she needed to go. It's I think the blacksmith's name is Arthur Rowland, and he is age 43. But eventually, like, they do meet. She finds out that Sir Arthur Rowland is one of the nicer people in this town. Eventually so nice that she never leaves the blacksmith shop for a long time, like months and months and months, maybe like a year. Well, no, it's like months. At the moment. But it's more just his personality and stuff like that. After their meeting, we do find out that, this had all been arranged, and her mother was the one to set this up, and it's because she's supposed to be some prodigy like blacksmith, so he's willing to see what she can do. And it jumps forward like a month later, and already she's amazed the town. She's building like armor that came from her town, so it's kind of new to them and stuff like that. But she is a like extremely like talented blacksmith as the book goes. So much as like like rich people are coming in to buy specific pieces. She's making armor and excess armor for the soldiers and stuff like that. Normally they would be buying, XX amount of stuff, and now they're buying XXXO amount of stuff, because her armor is just that nice. We do see this one guy pop in again, and he's kind of just partaking in, watching as the events unfold, because it kind of jumps around a whole bunch. Just, I want to say it's like months in progression, and they're just showing that she's, extremely talented blacksmith. Eventually we do see that the upper class, start taking a notice of her stuff. Eventually one night she walks into an alley, and she kind of keeps hearing that Shada whisper, Shade whisper in the background. You can kind of see it right here, like highlighted, and it's faded. It's supposed to be in the background like a whisper. But she does go outside to empty like some cauldrons or something like that. She runs into this little like reindeer like dog type thing. She doesn't even know what it is, but she's all like cutesied out by it, and she kind of gets distracted and doesn't notice that there's actually something behind the dog. It's why the dog reindeer was running and crying for help. And we find out that, I forget, I think these things are called night tigers. You'll have to give me a second. But supposedly these things exist in the world, and they're kind of a normal thing, but they're more like kind of in the forest and stuff outside of town. It's brought up that it's strange that this creature, is inside of town, but it does eventually try to attack, Sade. After she does eventually get bit, which is shown right here, and then once she gets bit, her eyes go red, and she goes to town with this thing. She smashes it around. Eventually, there's so much blood and stuff, and you'll see in a second, but she's basically ripping this thing, punching it, beating it, slapping it around kind of thing. But eventually the I think it's, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, the night cat, not night tiger, but it's called a night cat. But this is all, it's blood. Like, it did try and bite, Sade or whatever, but you can see right there, she is not healed. And even though the dog goes to, lick her wounds clean, there's no wounds. We do see that creepy guy that's been kind of following around, and we see him do this like little magic thing, which at first it kind of didn't make any sense until you read on. And he's basically like sending a magical message to some not so good people, and it on the message it basically says, "I found an exile paladin." We do get to see the note and stuff like that, but basically she goes back to Arthur. Arthur's kind of like weirded out because of all the blood and stuff, but she mentioned that it was a night cat, that she took care of it. Arthur's kind of weirded out that she is mentioning that she took care of it, and most humans aren't able to, deal with such a creature evidently, or something like that. She ends up taking the dog reindeer thing back to her room to get cleaned up, and as soon as she does, there's a knock at a door, and the door opens up, and we see it's the not so good people that guy contacted. You can see instantly that she is wielding some kind of like mystic dagger. It did say that she was like part of the mystics or something like that, because there's different guilds or whatever. But before even asking about Sade and where Miss Whisper is, Arthur gets sadly killed by the evil people. And that's kind of where the book leaves off. They do show us what Sade Whisper is doing at the moment, and she's kind of, after having a long day, she's getting her reindeer puppy in the bed, and she goes to sleep. She's not even aware that her not only best friend, but only friend, just died and passed away. There is no hint or anything at the next issue, but that's where this issue leaves off. My final thoughts, like at first, it's like two parts. The black and white part, I was not a fan of I wouldn't say I wasn't a fan of the art, I just don't like how it's more like sketch art. It almost looks like it's not finished. Of course, once you get to the colored part of the book, and there are moments in the black and white art, like this panel right here, where it looks completely finished, but there's other parts where it looks more like a sketch versus something that would end up on, in a comic. And I'm not saying there's not sketch comics out there, but once you get to here, you can clearly see that the art, maybe it was intended to do that because it's like a flashback, I don't know, because the art is completely different in this part of the book. As far as and I did enjoy the art. I do. It's just that kind of beginning part with the whole sketch thing. It was kind of for me, it was a stretch to make it through, and it wasn't really the story or the world building. I liked all that. I thought that was really cool. It was really just a sketch art, and it just didn't feel finished. I was trying to convince my mind that this is a finished book. I need to keep reading, kind of thing. But as far as everything else, the story, the build-up, I'm not going to say I loved it, but I'm not going to say I hated it either. I'm right in the middle. I enjoyed the story enough where I will pick up the second issue, but as far as right here, we didn't get a whole lot. That girl that seems to have like Alzheimer's, that can call on her powers when threatened, kind of thing. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts down below. What do you think about the book? Will you be picking it up? Let me know your thoughts. I definitely want to hear what you're thinking about it. I know people did enjoy this book. I did enjoy it, but I just have my small complaints, kind of thing. I was kind of hoping for a lot more, especially from the cover. I can say it looks brutal and vicious and badass, and then once you get in there, it's more of a cartoony kind of tale, but it has that aspect, like at the end, with this stuff going on, that it could get a lot darker, more mature, that kind of thing. Maybe the comedy is just in the beginning. Hey, but that's my review. Sorry to make it so long. Let me know your thoughts down below. I love that stuff, and I will see y'all next time. Alright, guys.